life-changing, maybe.
That's a great
Nice.
one.
That's
I think
a really
that
And like
that's
all in a good way. Like, I mean, things just change
yeah.
really fast. Like, as you guys know, like that's just how the world works. And especially with social media, people see a lot of your life, but that's what makes it fun and why I've had so many cool opportunities too.
Caitlin Clark's first season as a professional basketball player has opened many doors for her. But the dark side to that fame is what's trending in true crime this morning, as a 55-year-old man has been charged with felony stalking of the WNBA Rookie of the Year. His name is Michael Thomas Lewis. He's accused of repeated and continued harassment of the 22-year-old since back in December. Now, one day after he was charged, this is how Lewis entered his first court appearance. Take a look.
Morning, Mr. Lewis.
Guilty as
No, sir.
Did you hear that? Now, he reportedly behaved very erratically in that appearance while noting that he had not been taking his meds while he's been in custody. He's being held on a $50,000 bond, but the court did not file a not guilty plea on his behalf. The court did file a not. Okay, I'm sorry. I am having trouble seeing this morning. Okay, so really only the defendant can enter a plea of not guilty. Might have been his attorney who entered that plea on his behalf, but you heard him say guilty as charged. So let's talk about this. How does he say, I'm guilty as charged? First words out of his mouth, but then apparently the court record reflects a not guilty plea for this guy. Let's bring in our guests. Got a great power panel. Still with me, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Noah Pines, also family and relationship expert, author, psychologist, Dr. Sue Kornbluth, and want to welcome in criminal defense attorney and civil rights attorney, Casey Early. Good morning to you all. Casey, let me start with you. Would you talk to us a little bit about this contradiction, please?
Yeah, that was some entrance, right? Guilty as charged. So basically, everyone is innocent until proven guilty, as you know. And unless the court certifies and formally accepts that guilty plea, that's just his admission, but it has not been accepted by the court. So as you stated, the attorney on his behalf entered a not guilty plea. And I do suspect that some evaluation will be conducted. I do believe that there was some consideration, considering he was not consistently on his medication and he was not in the right state of mind. And that's something that the court also has to consider when they're doing a plea colloquy, is whether or not the defendant in the case is on drugs, alcohol, or in the right state of mind for it to be entered in valid. So in this case, I do believe that he can say guilty as charged, but has not been accepted by the court.
Casey, thank you so much for that. I've got some more information about him I want to share with you all. According to the Associated Press, in one post on Twitter or X, Lewis said he had been repeatedly driving by Gainbridge Fieldhouse, the Indiana Pacers' home arena, where the Fever also play. In another post, he said he had one foot on a banana peel and the other on a stalking charge. Other messages directed at Caitlin Clark were quite sexually explicit. Dr. Sue Kornbluth, to you next, please. What do you think of this guy?
So, Julie, I think I'm thinking what everybody else is thinking. He either has mental health issues, which usually in these stalking cases, okay, that it can range from schizophrenia, delusional disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, and addictions. If you look at him in the court and how he answered that question, lock me up, that's just bizarre nature in responding to something. Maybe he's happy in jail. I don't know. He gets 3 meals a day and a cot to sleep in. Who knows? But this reminds me of somebody that has mental health issues, and he seems to me to be a rejected, obsessive predator, and that is scary to anyone. And I can see how this is scary to Caitlin Clark. And, another thing to look at, which in an evaluation would be to look at his attachment styles growing up, because that can lead somebody to be obsessive, feel extreme rejection and resentment. That is why they go after and stalk other human beings.
This is really helpful insight, Dr. Sue. Thank you. Noah Pines, let me ask you this. How do you see this case playing out?
The first thing his lawyer will do is file a request for an examination, a mental examination, to get him evaluated, to find out the records. Has he been in trouble before? Has he had mental health before? What's his educational background? Did he have probably back then they didn't do individual education plans. All that information needs to be gathered. And the great thing about our criminal justice system is that we do have a process, due process. And instead of a judge in another country going, oh, you said you're guilty, you're going to prison now, guilty pleas have to be freely and knowingly and voluntarily given, which means you have to understand your rights, you have to understand what you're charged with. Clearly, he just came in and is just saying guilty, but that doesn't mean, as everyone else has said, that it's a true, valid guilty plea in the United States of America.
Noah, thank you. A great explainer there.